110 Ben Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
10 for 1 in America.
110.
10 for 1 Alpha Madison. 335, I'll be in route as well.
Okay, guys. Probably only next to them. They've got several major guys in them. That's probably going to be good to go off there. 10-4. 29 minutes, so go ahead and notify rescue. Fire police for search.
35.
You say when you got the original call that mom went on a run and when she came back that daughter was gone?
10-4, that's what the father advised. He's at work about an hour away, trying to make his way home.
10-4.
10-4. You want us to try to contact Tina?
Let 302 know, and I think he's going to let rescue make that determination.
302 has been notified. He also wanted me to just remind you to be sure, check the house, camper, even if they've said they've already had.
10-4.
Hawkins County Rescue Squad, all members, mutual aid request, search and rescue with Churchill Rescue Squad. The staging area is going to be at Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Beach Creek. Hawkins County Rescue Squad, all members, mutual aid request from Churchill Rescue on a search and rescue. Staging area is going to be at Mount Carmel Baptist Church on Beach Creek. Also requesting respond with 6-wheeler and command.
The timeline of 15th June 2021 is still under investigation, and the circumstances surrounding Summer's disappearance is not clear at all. Did Summer go swimming that day, or was the accidental video of Summer sleeping on milk jugs taken that day? We are not privy to cell phone data, and cannot be sure when the videos were taken, but we have an idea of when some of the videos were posted, although that is not ideal in this situation. We know when the swimming hole video was posted. The swimming hole video was posted on TikTok on the 15th June 2021. Candace says they were at the swimming hole around 12:21, and that's when the video was taken. I've seen Michelle After Dark reporting that the video was posted on TikTok around 12:34. I verified that myself using the metadata. There are tons of videos explaining step by step how to retrieve this data, but it only gives the time the video was posted. I agree with her, it is in fact 12:34. So, I believe they were at the swimming hole that day. Candace took the video, and then added the filter, and also the music, which took her about 5 to 10 minutes. She then uploaded it straight to the app. Now, I spoke to Chris McDonough to query whether Summer was seen at the Priceless grocery store. He said that Grandma and Candace were seen there for sure, Summer possibly. I do think it may have been hard to see Summer anyway, since she was sitting at the back, and she is quite tiny too. He didn't provide me with a time though. According to another statement made by Chris McDonough, is that the prescription pickup time was 1:33 p.m. again. That would fit in with the timeline, since they spent some time at the swimming hole. Summer probably changed out of her swimming clothes, and then they went to get Grandma's prescription around 1:33 p.m. No CCTV footage has been released from the day, but that above timeline would make sense if we start piecing it together like this. The part that remains unknown is the 2 or so hours unaccounted for at Ben Hill Road, just before Summer was reported missing.
I have confirmation that they were in, Grandma and Candace were in one of the local stores, and I've got it from a couple different stores, and I've kind of got a good timeline of, when, based on the 911 call, that is, public information, as well as, kind of piecing it back to when they believe they saw them in the store. Okay, and one of them was.
I'll just follow you, okay?
No.
I'll follow you on which direction. And
everything's slow motion now.
I know. So which direction does Hunter go?
He went.
That happened, according to Hunter. She came, according to Hunter, Candace brought Summer in the house and changed her into the bathing suit.
Her bathing suit on before we left home because it was really hot out that day.
Okay,
So it was just something small and thin, not so hot.
okay, okay,
Because I know how she gets too hot.
okay.
She leans away from me and kind of repositions to tell me this story, okay? Because this is critical, and I'm going to explain.
On my phone personally, I can show you where he's made TikTok.
Okay.
Honest to God.
I hope you've given it to the officials, right?
No, actually, it's still on my phone. I haven't had a chance because I was going to talk.
All right, remember everybody asked, do the officials have the phone? Apparently they don't have this one. Because she's saying, when I asked her, well, you know, she's basically dissing Hunter about TikToks. Okay? And I asked her, I said, well, do you have those TikToks? He goes, yeah, I've got them on my phone. Okay. Oh, okay. Did you give that phone to TBI? Oh, no. And you're going to hear in a second. Okay? I'm going to back that up for you again. So she's now, again, you know, throwing, you know, spitballs, and I just hit her with a knuckleball, and she took a swing at it. So it sounds like she had another phone that somehow had evidence on it, in my opinion, and she's now going to tell me she turned it over to the authorities. Remember, the authorities went back, I believe. Is that what they went back for? I don't know, but I'm going to back this up and listen to her again.
Talk to them Tuesday when I went back to town.
Okay,
I got some business I got to take.
Okay.
Slushies. I don't really.
Did you buy food?
Nope.
Just the slushies?
Just the slushies.
Okay, then what happened?
And then we left from there, went to Priceless, and I wasn't even in there 5 minutes.
Okay.
Grabbed my milk, come right back out the door, and he was sitting there playing on TikTok like he always does.
Okay.
I mean, and then for him to sit there and say that he doesn't even make TikToks, I have on my phone personally, I can show you where he's made TikTok.
Okay.
Honest to God.
I hope you've given it to the officials, right?
No, actually, it's still on my phone. I haven't had a chance because I was going to talk to them Tuesday when I went back to town.
Okay.
She hasn't had a chance to talk to the authorities and give them the phone, but, oh, by the way, I've taken a couple of polygraphs and calling him from the back seat of a police car, allegedly. We don't know if that's true or not, but this one, yeah, I'm gonna hand it over when I go over Tuesday. You know, and I'm thinking, what are you guys all going to lunch together? You know, what's going on here? Why didn't your daughter's missing? And when they say, do you have a phone? You say, yes, here, it's all here, take a look. Okay? So my question is, I love that one, LJ, self-narrative alibi. Really good. That is a good great statement. Thank you for sharing that. So all of a sudden, she's got another phone somewhere. Is that the phone she uses or used when they would order narcotics? Is that a burner phone? Because we know that the authorities allegedly took all of the phones, and I know some of those guys up there. For them to miss that phone, I would submit to you, they were hiding that phone, and she just leaked it.
Candace drive with her child? If something was wrong with her child, why on earth would she drive to Alison Harris's home? I don't see anything here. Move along. I also had that approach, but you've also got to bear in mind Candace was compromised, and Candace isn't, I think, the sharpest tool in the shed. I think Candace has made mistakes in her life, and perhaps this was also a mistake.
She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch. But
now, in terms of the first aspect, photographic aspects, I'm a photographer. I've done a lot of work for magazines and so on. The thing that I want to draw your attention to really briefly is the lighting aspect. So first of all, there's light coming on from the right hand side, sunlight, right? The other thing is Summer is leaning against a white object in terms of the white milk, the milk jugs, right? And so that is going to be relevant in terms of what we're looking at here, right? You can see on the right-hand side of her sweater, it is, although it's pink, it's almost white based on the ambient light that is coming through the window, right? The other side is a lot darker pink, and the same applies to some extent to her face. There's sort of a shadow on the left side of her forehead, and the right side, which is facing the light source, is a lot lighter. And we're going to see why that is important in a second. Someone on Patreon noted that Summer doesn't have her seatbelt on the right way. Very astute. Part of her seatbelt, the portion that is above her waist, the part that's meant to be across her chest, is behind her. In the video footage, a portion of which you can watch, I'll put a link in the description, you can listen to and watch that little fragment of vital video footage. It's clear Summer's right hand is actually moved towards the left, indicative of her falling down slightly, and that's going to be important in the next section. It's at this point that Candace can be heard saying, has she got her arm up? And that she wanted to capture that on video. Now, I know another channel has covered this, the movement of the hand or the arm, but I think the fact that the car is moving tells you that her body's shaking a little bit, and also the mother, Candace, saying, does she have her arm up, suggests that her arm has actually fallen down. Her arm, maybe it was propped up on the one milk jug or something like that. Well, now it is fallen down, and that is probably due to the vibration, the motion of this vehicle. So clearly from the footage itself, Summer sounds as though she's limp. She can't hear anything. She's been asleep or worse for quite a long time. She's limp like a rag doll. And that brings us to number 2, the medical aspects. So the first thing I want to highlight is actually the most obvious. And you got a real sense of that. You got a genuine sense of what we're looking at from the previous video I did about the last photo. From the correct orientation, you can see just how much she's slouching. And so Plunder's video, where she was talking about how the hands have now moved closer to one another, what that's showing is that between one moment and the next, she's actually slouched down further. And what that is giving the impression is that Summer is being propped up by these milk jugs, by all of the stuff that is lying next to her, right? And in other words, she doesn't have the seatbelt on properly, and she seems to be propped up. She's not sitting properly against the seat, even if she was sleeping. And nobody would sleep on a surface as cold like a milk jug. No one would do that. So the posture is quite important, showing someone who's, even if she is asleep, she's really in deep sleep, right? Some people who start to sort of move around, their posture falling over when they're in a vehicle, tend to be very, very fast asleep. And I think that's quite important to establish. The other thing that I think throws a little bit of water on this assertion that Summer was okay, she had to have been okay, otherwise why would Candace have gone to Alison? Well, Alison did say quite explicitly that she wanted to hug Summer, she wanted to talk to Summer, and she was sort of prevented from doing that. I think she got as far as they sort of opened the window, and that scene we actually need sketched out in a lot more detail. Did Candace say she was in a hurry? How was she sort of prevented? Were they trying to talk to her? Did Candace leave shortly after that? All those sort of things. How close did she actually get to Summer? Did she call out Summer's name? Should Summer have heard her talking? How long were they standing there? How long did she see her in the vehicle? The other thing is, couldn't this footage have been shot from the perspective of leaving Ben Hill Road and going towards Alison. So before the whole incident at the swimming hole, almost called a drinking hole again. And I think it's a valid question, because then it would shift a potential crime scene to Ben Hill Road. But I think the answer is, well, Candace's mother was in hospital that night. That needs to be verified. But if she was, then obviously it makes sense that they were coming back from the trip. And so this incident must have happened after the visit to the swimming hole. I've also heard someone say that they don't think it's relevant how long Summer was under the water. I think that is very relevant, and I'm going to deal with that in a second. So in terms of the other aspect that I think one's got to look at in terms of the medical side is pallor. Summer does look pale, and when you look at her there, you've got to actually look at her in comparison to other photos of her and compare her complexion, the tone of her skin, to other photos. Now, bear in mind, when this photo was taken was the middle of June, essentially the middle of summer. So you wouldn't expect Summer to be pale in the middle of summer. You wouldn't expect her to be pale after having swum possibly for more than an hour. We don't know exactly how long, but probably she was out there in the water for quite a while, right? Another aspect that I think is relevant is the water temperature. What is the water temperature? As far as I'm aware, it rained the day before, June 14th. I say that under correction, that the locals may know this. I need to check it, but if that's true, then the water in that sort of river and reservoir would have been a lot colder than usual, and that can have an effect on skin tone, right? So, of course, it's a subjective thing. When we look at the image, it's difficult to tell how much of that pallor is from the light coming in from the right, the white coming in from the left, the sort of secondary reflection off the white milk jugs, and how much is actual pallor from Summer. But I do think, just broadly speaking, she does look a little bit pale. The other thing that I think is interesting is her hands appear to be quite pink, and someone said that the right hand actually looks slightly swollen. And that could be, I hate to say it, it could be a sign of livor mortis or lividity or hypostasis. That is the gravitational pooling of fluids in the body to lower dependent areas. And it starts to result in a sort of darker coloration. It's possible that we're seeing things there. We've also got to be careful that we're not subjectively seeing what we're thinking. So if we think something, are we seeing what we're thinking? So we need to be scientific about it. I do think it's important to stress that something like lividity can begin as little as 30 minutes post-mortem. And that brings us to the third aspect, which is the contextual aspect. And here we've got to look at things like, what were the events that directly preceded this image? And the one thing that we know, or think we know, is that Summer was swimming. And so I do think that it is very relevant that she was said to be under the water for a length of time. I think it does matter how long she was underwater, whether it was 20 seconds or a minute. I think that definitely does matter. I'm not going to deal with this in a lot of detail now. I will put a link to it in the description, because I do think it's important that we familiarize ourselves with this aspect. Dry drowning, the medical phenomenon is described as post-immersion syndrome, but it's rare. It's rare, but it does happen. And of course, one of the classic symptoms of dry drowning is suddenly feeling tired, suddenly wanting to sleep. And so this is a symptom that we presented with in this image after swimming, after knowing that Summer was submerged for a little while. So that is something we know, and so we need to investigate it. What I think is also contextually ironic about all of this is that they just come from a hospital. So Candace had just picked her mother up from a hospital, and they'd just come from a pharmacy as well. How hard would it have been to have gone back with Summer? And I think you've also got to answer that. Why wouldn't they if something was wrong? So other parts of the contextual aspect to this equation are definitely the personality of the mother, and you can hear some of that in the video clip. You can hear her tone of voice. There's no concern. She actually just seems to be trying to get something on camera. There's no expression of concern for her daughter. And we're going to be dealing with the dynamics between mother and daughter in a follow-up video to this. I've actually been meaning to get to it. So, I think one of the best ways to understand the personality of the mother is to see how she self-identifies. It's also the way that a lot of us want others to understand us. It's how we present ourselves to the outside world. And so how do we do that? Well, on social media. Some of it do it more than others. Some of us do it better than others. And Candace is also trying to do it her way. Apparently, according to Facebook, she recently got connected to the internet. And she's been posting quite frequently. And how she self-identifies is as someone who smokes, and that's mentioned in the Facebook post, someone who wears a hoodie, and someone who likes being outdoors. And so in this incident on June 15th, don't all three of these things happen? She's wearing a hoodie, she's smoking, and she's outdoors, and she's doing what she enjoys doing outdoors. Aren't those two things taking place? The only difference is within this equation, she's a mother and she's got a daughter with her. Her daughter's only 5 years old. The vibe that comes across, including on the TikTok videos, is of someone who's like trying to play the bad girl, just in the same way that bad boys have got this sort of almost attractive vibe about them. She seems to see herself as, the best way to present herself is playing this sort of bad girl with bad music and the sort of gangster look kind of going on. And maybe she thinks, men will find that attractive, and, that sort of mischievous, playful, flirty thing is going to be something that other men find endearing. And maybe in the course of time, maybe some of these men will come forward and say, I was her boyfriend, this is what she was like. Now, besides the personality of the mother, I think one's got to look at the tone of the video. And the tone of the video is that Candace seems fairly sober. I mean, she's able to drive. She's also not wearing a hoodie, actually. She's wearing, I think, like a tank top. And she's concerned that a particular kind of footage is captured of Summer. And we know that footage was later used in a weird way to sort of exonerate her, to say, well, look, there she was. She was fine. We didn't leave her at the swimming hole. She's not at the swimming hole. She came back with us, and then we planted flowers. But the fact that you can actually hear her saying, is her arm propped up, suggests that something has already gone wrong at this point. And so I think the final part to highlight here is time. And there's a lot of difficulty, and there are issues around time. There are issues around Summer being underwater for a certain amount of time, so that has been 10 to 20 seconds or a minute. There are issues around how long was Candace away from Summer. In other words, Summer wasn't in her custody, and that has ranged from 2 minutes to who knows what it really was. And then also the time that they were swimming or whatever they were doing, was that 20 minutes or was it 2 hours? What was going on during that period? There certainly is an opportunity in this whole scenario for things going wrong and then things needing to be covered up. There's certainly opportunity for that. The other thing that I think is important is if something is happening here, if Summer is in trouble, if something has actually gone beyond that point, then I think it's interesting that this video is probably shot at around about 3:15 in the afternoon. Do you guys agree with that? But basically, let's say mid-afternoon. Let's say not later than 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, then 911 was called 2 hours later. Another thing you can see in the screen grab from the video, and again, the link to that video is in the description. So it's not a image that's been photoshopped. That was something I was a little bit worried about. But in the video, you can clearly see that the fingers of the right hand are slightly splayed and almost touching the hem of her shirt. So if you're not sure, if you can't see any of the differences, in the original image, almost the entire surface area of Summer's leg separates her two hands. In the screen grab from the video, her hands are almost touching. So it does seem as if the boxes and cartons have been stacked the way they have to prop Summer up to make it look as if she's still alive and simply sleeping. It's quite conceivable that she wasn't, I think, given everything that we know now, and that this video was shared prematurely. During the drive back to drop Grandma off, what do you think was going through Candace's mind? Just a final point I want to share is I'm not convinced that that is an arm over the back. It seems quite a long way for whoever was taking the video. It was obviously, well, I think it was Candace's mother. But it's quite a long way to go from holding the camera with the one hand to having the sleeve of your arm going over the seat on the other side. Right, it just seems like she'd have to be Plastic Man or Elastic Man to do something like that. I think what is in the back is perhaps the flap of another box, and then there's just a shadow of that flap. I think that's another piece of cardboard, but it's, you know, there's not enough.
Okay. It's just a scuffed up place. What are you doing, man? You're trying to summer. Now that.
Why is it doing that? What is
This lightning movie.
Oh. Why is it doing that? What is
This lightning movie.
Oh. Why is it doing that? What is
This lightning movie.
Oh. Why is it doing that? What is
This lightning movie.
Oh.
Thanks for watching. Until next time, please keep praying for Summer Moon, Utah Wells. Goodbye for now.